probably had it 40 something years. We're about to revamp this thing. We got something special planned for it in August. We got a lot of work ahead of us. We are planning on changing like ball joints, bushings, some of the rattles in this thing. But should be pretty fun. I'm pretty excited about this. But we'll be getting it ready, so we'll be ready to rock and roll. Because we're gonna need all the new parts so we can handle it. Alright, let's go in before we piss the neighbors off. Oh yeah, grippy tires. Alright guys, here we are back in the shop. So we're gonna start to disassemble this thing. It is not a perfectly running and driving car. It's probably got the original suspension underneath. We're gonna replace the upper and lower bushings, ball joints, tie rod ends, that sort of thing. So hopefully it rides a little better. I don't think I'm gonna be doing anything to the springs. That's gonna be all factory. For what we're doing, we're gonna put different wheels on it. I don't have those right now, so hopefully by then we can get them. But right off the bat, I already had to put a battery in it. But some other stuff about this car. My daddy's had it since he was 16. He had it partially in high school. Him and his buddies used to ride around in it. He used to race at our local drag strip with it. You know, he never really did too good, I guess, but he'd take it down there. He raced a little bit on the street. But back in the day, he didn't really know anything about this car. The Z28s had 302 cubic inch motors in them. They were the only GM product to come out with a 302. Nothing else came out with a 302. Just similar to the Ford 302, but it's not a Ford motor. But like it's got the big fuel line on it, the 3/8 fuel line. It's got a 12-bolt rear end, posi factory rear end, factory 4-speed car. The car was originally green with white stripes, but actually when he got the car, somebody had already painted it black with white stripes. So I don't really know why they did that. Maybe it was wrecked at one time or something. They painted the whole thing. This car, it sit for until I was up in at least 8th grade. I told him that I wanted him to take me to school in it before I graduated out of middle school. And didn't have no motor in it. It had been sitting in my parents' barn. So, you know, it was covered in dirt, no motor. The doghouse was all off of it. But him and one of his friends from school that he's still in touch with helped put it back together. Me and my brother did a little bit, you know, didn't do a whole lot. He put a new fuel tank in it, new fuel lines, brake lines. But anyway, enough about that. We're going to go ahead and get this thing up in the air. We're going to start on the front. It doesn't really matter where I start, but that's where I'm going to start. So let's go ahead and get this thing up in the air. Okay, what we're looking at here is 1968 suspension. In other words, it's froze up as so we're gonna have to break it all loose. I don't think it'll be too bad. This car is actually in really good shape for as old as it is. Yes, it needs body work, floor pan work, subframe, whatever you want to call it work. For the most part, it is in pretty good shape. I believe my dad bought this brake. These new. This is all aftermarket. Look, I don't know. Oh yeah, I would spin too if I was you. What is up, guys? We're back in the shop today again. It's about 8 o'clock or so. I've been rolling about 6:30 on a Saturday, so that's never good when you're up that early on a Saturday. But as you see, we got the Camaro tore all apart. We got the control arms off. All the control arms have been taken apart. That took me a couple days, but like 2 or 3 days, I didn't get to work on it at all. I was going out and buying stuff. Had to go help a buddy of mine. And so I got the control arms tore down now. We have the control arms that have been painted. We are waiting on a cross shaft. I had one from O'Reilly's, but it's different from the factory one, and I'd like to try to put it back the same. The one I got had studs on the end of it to hold the control arm together with a nut, but the factory one had a bolt. So I'm going to try to get one with a bolt instead of that stud type, so it kind of matches. Not that it's going to make a difference or anything, but we bought a press. I don't know if you've ever beat ball joints out with a sledgehammer or anything like that, but it's a pain in the butt. But it was like 200 bucks. So if it's in your budget, I definitely recommend it. But anyway, we're going to crawl under this thing now, and we're going to do some tie rod ends. And I got to take the idler arm off and the pitman arm still. We're going to go ahead and start on that right now. Two more to go. Those are not good anymore. Okay, now I can take drag link and we're gonna go clean it up real quick because it is nasty and we're not putting it back on like this. So we'll be right back. Alright, now we're gonna start mocking up tie rod ends. As you can kind of hear, maybe it's raining, so I'm letting the drag link wash off in the rain. Free wash. Okay, so what in the hell? Well, some $600 later, 3.5 hours of driving. Hopefully we have the right stuff for the front of this car. But we got bushings, ball joints, that sort of thing from Camaro Central. Camaro Central is located in, I believe, Madison, Kentucky. It's up by Lexington, Kentucky. It's about an hour and a half from me. So I decided to drive up there in the Tsunami that I just got back from and try to get some of the right parts. Unfortunately, sometimes you get stuff from like auto parts stores and they're different from factory stuff. and they just won't work with the original stuff. Really nice place. I've never been there before. It's set up like an old garage. It's really cool. I don't know what the store was before, but it had a big sign up out front. I can't really remember what it said, but very, very nice place. Would very recommend getting stuff from them. They sell all kinds of stuff. They sell new old stock stuff. I actually bought a control arm, original control arm, because I messed the cross shaft up, or someone messed the cross shaft up trying to get it out. So I had to replace that. But we're going to go ahead and tear into this. We're going to start putting the control arms back together now, and hopefully continue forward, because we keep going backwards. So I don't know what the problem is. Hopefully it's fixed. Let's get cracking. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and do the upper ball joints. Freshly rattle can control arms. I think these are lowers. We're looking for uppers. That would be a lower. Don't need those yet. That's like this car, it's never had ball joints or anything like that. Actually the bushings and the control arms, they were replaced. I don't know who did. Maybe Dad, don't really know. Didn't really pay attention too much when we were doing this first time. But I do remember we had the springs out, because I remember we debated on what color we was going to paint them. I wanted to paint them yellow so you could see them, but nobody else wanted to, so it didn't matter what he wanted to, or what I wanted to do.
You love listening to your favorite artists, and we love the gloriously uninterrupted music with Spotify Premium.
I think this is freaking metric.
Artists, ad-free.
Why would you sell metric shit to a freaking non-metric car? So stupid. Oh yeah, it's a metric. Alright guys, 5 hours later, the control arms are done. I painted the drag link.
There it is!
So, gotta do that, put these arms on. I still gotta pull the pitman arm off, and then should be ready to tie everything back together. We're gonna go ahead and slap the arms on, and that way they'll be kind of there floating. So let's go ahead and do that. Alright, I got the control arms all tight. Went ahead and put some shims in the upper ones. It's probably not right, but it'll be kind of close. Then I'll just have to adjust to whatever I want it to. Right now we're going to go ahead and build these tie rods, get them at least close, so we can put the suspension back together tonight. So let's go ahead and open some boxes. I need my knife. What's up, guys? We are back in the garage today. We got control arms on the Camaro. We worked a little bit last night. We finished a little bit up today. It's a big pain in the butt. I did like 3 or 4 trucks and have put springs in and out. I've never had that much problem with springs before. So I went and borrowed some spring compressors from my cousin and got them in there. Then we ended up having to turn them with a pry bar and vice grips. But check this out. We got the control arms on and everything now. And get ready to put the drag link on. Put the drag link and tie rods on. And the steering should be hooked back up. It'll be out of adjustment probably. But shouldn't be too much to get it back. Try to put the sway bar on today, maybe the front shocks. We're going to pack the bearings in the front. Don't know if I'll do that today or soon, maybe tomorrow. So we'll get into that tomorrow. But right now we're going to go ahead and put this drag link on. So let's go ahead and get after it. Maybe I'll figure out how it goes on here. Now let's go to the other side. Alright guys, we worked a little more on the car. We got the sway bar on. This sway bar is a piece of shit. Would not recommend buying one of these because of the brackets. The brackets are not folded right and your bolts get at an angle and they will cross thread if you're not careful. Because I worked for probably about an hour trying to fix mine. But right now we're going to prepare to sit it back on the ground. I got to put the wheels and tires on, and I'm going to put the grease fittings and tighten all the grease fittings in this front suspension. And then we should be able to put the wheels back on, sit it down, and probably going to spin this car around and get the back in here. How we have the front in here now, we're just going to spin it around so we have more light. We're not working up against the garage door. So we are going to go ahead and do that. We're going to climb under it, tighten up these grease fittings, and then we will be ready to turn this car around. We did a little cleanup this morning. Got stuff straightened up, got all my tools laid out, picked up sort of thing, everything wiped off, whatnot. Got the Camaro spun around. We're going to go ahead and put it up in the air and start trying to take some of the stuff off the back. We're going to work on the back now. What we're going to do is pull the leaf springs out, is the biggest thing, and change the bushings. We're going to put polyurethane bushings in the back instead of the rubber and steel bushing that is in it now that's probably wore out. Keep the car more stable. Put the shocks and stuff on. Not putting no kind of rear sway bar on this today at least. But we're going to go ahead and get it up in the air. Take the wheels off. Going to put new brake shoes on it, that sort of thing. But we'll do that later on down the road, probably once we get the rear end back in it. But we're going to go ahead and get this thing up in the air. And then we're going to get after it because we are behind schedule. We're supposed to have this done this week. And we are just now starting on it, and it's Saturday. Alright guys, we got the car up in the air. We are going to start taking the shocks off and probably the slapper bars. These shocks, I'm sure you still can get them, but these are air ride shocks. They have a shredder valve on the back right here that you can't see behind the brake drum. So you can put air into them and adjust the ride of them. I don't think it'll like lower it or anything if you take air out of it, just adjust the ride, the stiffness of it. But they're old, they're very massive. I don't even know if these are the right shocks for the car. Dad hates the slapper bars. I think they're awesome, really cool, old school. I don't know if he put these on there or not. But I'm gonna put them back on there. I don't care. But let's go ahead and I think the spot will turn. Hopefully you can hear me. But let's go ahead and take the shocks loose now. Hell, ain't even tight. Somebody put a jam nut or something around here. They didn't have the right size nut. Alright, now let's go to the bottom. Way. One shock off. These were probably nice shocks when they were new, but they're not new no more. Alright, slight change of plans. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to pull the rear end off first and get it off the leaf springs, because I'm going to have trouble with the leaf spring bolts towards the back. I think the front ones are going to be okay. It's just on a little puck that bolts to the unibody. But we're going to go ahead and pull this rear end out first. So I got to take the drive shaft loose, a couple U-bolts, some bolts loose, maybe a couple other things, some brake lines. But I've hired some help, so they're going to be here to help. Don't know how much help they'll be, but we'll see. And we're going to go ahead and get the crack on this thing. That's what we're doing. That rubber's burning now.
Oh, that.
Oh, that hit you?
Oh, that was blowing.
It didn't work.
That worked, alright.
That one's still good too.
The bushings, is that good?
That's probably the original bushing they
See, all right, see,
changed up for nothing, Daws.
that's unbelievable with bushings right
You
here.
get the bushing out the other side,
No.
you might get a smaller screwdriver.